Anyway, these are storybook floats. Originally, there were 7 of these built between 1882 and 1888 for the Barnum and London show, which became the Barnum and Bailey show. There's a lot of mixing and matching throughout circus history. But these are the only 3 that survive of the 7. They originally had a natural color paint, but have been restored to this beautiful gold leaf. And if you can take a look at them, can you tell what the fairy tale is? Mother Goose? Oh, Woman in the Shoe? Cinderella. Yeah, that's right. Okay, all right. The other 4 were Sinbad the Sailor, Bluebeard, Santa Claus, and Little Red Riding Hood. Gone. I don't know. I don't know. They're not with us.
This was restored back in the 90s, I think it was, so whatever the price of the gold was. But the one thing I'll say, and then I will, this is your tour, so you can always tell gold leaf from gold leaf. Yeah. And it always has that just puff. And a question I would always get on tours is, did they really put gold leaf on there? And the answer is yes. If they felt the situation warranted it, and if the shows had it in the budget. A wagon might, when it comes out of the shop, have gold leaf on it, but then after a year or 2, these things get knocked around a lot on the road, and so the leaf starts to flake off, or the weather starts to wear it off. They may apply another coat of gold leaf, but after 3 or 4 years, it gets the gold paint. And so circuses are also practical operations. And so that's why we, when we have the funds, we will gold leaf it, but that's also why we don't feel bad when we just put gold leaf on it.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is the Ringling Brothers United States Tableau. This is one of 6 wagons that was built by the Bodie Wagon Company of Cincinnati, Ohio. The total for those was $9,075 in 1903 money. This was one of 4 themed wagons, nations of the world. United States, Great Britain, Germany, and Russia. This wagon by itself cost $1,500, which in today's money would be $55,000 or so. But again, the grandeur of these things is just amazing. And if you step over this way, we're going to show you the star of the show this year.
Would they carry on? What did they carry?
Come on down. So again, this is the star of the show, so we'll give it a proper introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Circus World is proud to present the iconic and glorious Ringling Brothers Bell Wagon. This bad boy was built in 1892 by the Mulder Brothers Wagon Works of Baraboo, Wisconsin. And fun fact, the Mulder Brothers were first cousins to the Ringling Brothers, so this is really a family affair. It features these 9 huge bronze bells weighing over 2 tons. They were fabricated by the Centennial Bell Foundry of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And the glorious wood carvings came from the Milwaukee Ornamental Wood Carving Company. This was in ringling shows for over 100 years, making it the longest period of single ownership for any circus wagon. And it's on loan to us today from Feld Entertainment down in Florida. Now, let me just clarify what that means. In 1967, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus was sold. It was purchased by Mr. Irvin Feld, whose name is on the main building here at Circus World, his brother Israel Feld, and Judge Roy Hoffites from Texas. They flew to Rome, Italy, and there, in the Colosseum, behind a huge stone table with 2 live lions, signed a contract with John Ringling North, transferring ownership of the greatest show on earth from the Ringling family to the Feld family, who still have ownership of the circus today. So, like I said, these change hands a great deal. Since we're right here, let me grab these. This is the Hagenbeck Wallace Lion's Bride Tableau. This was built in the early 20th century for Carl Hagenbeck's Wild Animal Show, and is also on loan to us from Feld Entertainment.
So what did they actually haul in them?
So many of these are band wagons. A lot of it was carried baggage. It carried wardrobe. It carried the wood shops and the metalworking shops. And you can get a sense of what this would have been like with a 6, 8, 10 horse hitch. Biggest I ever saw was in Milwaukee, a 40-horse hitch with the 2 hemispheres wagon, which is a privately owned circus wagon. But that will open your eyeballs. Yeah. Here's another one from Feld Entertainment. This is the John Robinson bandwagon, also called the Lion and the Gladiator. This was probably, because we don't know for sure, but probably built by the Sullivan Eagle Company of Peru, Indiana. This was the lead bandwagon on Howe's Great London Circus from 1911 to 1913. John Ringling bought this in 1943, and it's been restored to what it looked like in 1917. And again, the great Starburst wagon wheels. This guy over here, I love this particular wagon. This is the Christie Brothers Beauty Tableau, also known as the Big Blue Tableau. This started its life as a tableau cage wagon, and that featured a horned horse, a llama, and a goat. This is one of 12 wagons that was built by the Fielding Brothers of New York. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of these wagons changed hands many times. Fun fact, this wound up at the Walt Disney Studios, and was in films like The Big Circus and Toby Tyler. And then Walt Disney gifted this and 8 other wagons to Circus World Museum. So Uncle Walt understood the magic of circus. I love that. Okay, follow me this way. Authentic.
Scratches on the wall. Play around.
Yeah, these are definitely some wild animal cages. This one here on my right is also unknown from Feld Brothers. This is the hippo cage number 73. The one on my left is hippo den number 28. Keep in mind the time period. Most small towns did not have a zoo or an animal sanctuary. So people's first glimpse of a hippopotamus would have been when the circus came to town. This had to be a very tiny hippopotamus.
There's a lot of weight to have in there.
Hippo on Weight Watchers, I think. All right. Don't mind turning around. We've got to sneak our way through here.
Yeah, they were water. Well, that one that, when we looked up front, was one for water for the fuel and that. I know, the hold on that, I know.
So this is the Buffalo Bill Wild West ticket wagon built for Barnum and Bailey Circus in 1897. This was acquired by Circus World in 1969. It came from a farmer outside of Rochester, Indiana, where it was being used as a chicken coop. The glory of showbiz. if you get a chance to go to the Wagon Restoration Building, I think there's some photos over there of how wagons show up when they're found out in a field or as a chicken coop. Just to get a sense of the work that goes into the time and preparation to restore these wagons. Anyway, this is the self-Florida Circus World. The United Circus is like a baggage wagon outfitted here in one of the portable shops. The Circus World is making a way around it on the inside, just watch your step. If you've ever lived in a small space like a studio apartment, you know the importance of staying organized in a small space. So a place for everything and everything in its place. A portable city on wheels with no zip code. That was the circus. All right. Turning our attention to this beautiful guy right here, throughout this wagon. This is the Cole Brothers Asia wagon. So this was to announce the return to the United States from a 5-year tour in Europe. Barnum and Bailey contracted with Sebastian Wagon Works for 13 brand new wagons at a total cost of $40,000, which in today's money would be $1.5 million. This was for that blockbuster 1903 season. It was purchased by Cole Brothers in 1934. And if you read some of the names of the countries, you can see how geography has changed a little bit since this wagon was built. I just love how festive this guy is. Geography and stereotypes. And if you just turn around, this is the Gavioli band organ. This was built in 1905 in Paris. Came to the United States and toured with Carnival until the mid-1920s. And then it was stored in a Kansas barn for 25 years. It was purchased in 1955 by Royal American Shows and toured until the 1970s. And then it was stored in a barn in Florida for 15 years. I came here to Circus World in 1992. It is elaborate, and we have just a few more wagons to look at, and then I'll fire this puppy up so that you can hear the glorious sound of the band. Another wild animal cage. This is the Ringling Brothers Giraffe Wagon. The original was purchased by the Ringling Brothers in 1892 from the John Robinson Circus. This is not an exact replica. This was built for the Milwaukee Circus Parade, but it does give you a sense of the different kinds and types and styles of circus wagons that were. And indeed, it carried a giraffe, which are very gentle animals, by the way. That's why it has padded walls on the inside. All right, here we go. This is the Ringling Brothers Circus flat car, and it was appeared in 1953. So behind all these pony cars is the flat car, and this yellow wagon is the 1950s version of the ticket wagon. If you look at the graphics on here and the painting of the clown face here, this was done by a man by the name of Bill Valentine. He was not only an artist, he was also a clown with Ringling Brothers, and the second dean of the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Clown College. This red wagon was a giraffe wagon. And then we come to the human cannonball, the Zucchini family. This is a system of air compression that was invented in the 1920s. And the patriarch of the family, Hugo Zucchini, got shot out of this sucker 11,000 times in his career. We're not sure if he had a good chiropractor. Yeah, little pony floats. Little pony floats. All right, stepping on down this way, I think this, Pete, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I think this is the oldest wagon in the collection here.
It is.
It is, the Bostock and Womble Menagerie bandwagon. Yes, this is the bandwagon. It dates back to the mid-1800s. From the UK, Bostock and Womble presented a menagerie, a wild animal show. and this was their band play. Classic. And behind you is a stock car for the animals that travel with Ringling. And on the grounds here at Circus World, you'll see other circus train cars, coach car where they pass through them. So the Ringling Brothers train, over its history, went from 50 cars to as many as 100 cars, over a mile long. It was divided into 3 sections. The animal cars were all up front, so they didn't get into the rock and rolling of the train cars quite so much. Then the coach cars, and then the flat cars with all the wagons and automobiles and other equipment. When I was with Ringling Brothers, I lived in a circus train in a roomette, opposite syllables S. It was 4 by 6. So that means there's only got to go all and came out of the drawer. And that is how we traveled. And, at that time, the season was 2 shows a day, 3 on Saturday, sometimes 3 on Sunday, 6 days a week for 11 months out of the year.
Oh my gosh.
It kept you going. I used to be 6'8".
I know.
All right, let's come around the corner here. This is the Bostock and Womble living carriage. So if you want to take the step up to take a peek on the inside. It's a living carriage. It's where somebody high up in their organization would have lived in this. It may not look huge to you, but after having lived in a roomette, I would have killed to have that much space.
And the drawers all stayed shut too.
Yeah, so it had a little coal or wood oven in there, and a cistern on top to collect the rainwater to use, and the little sink that was on the inside. Yeah, so this, I can tell you, was built in 1883 in Burton-on-Trent, England, and came to the U.S. in 1932. You'll find that circus people are very organized. You have to be. Okay, let's make our way back around to the Gavioli band organ for a little concert.
What's this, another camera?
Yeah,
So the zucchinis are the premier human cannonballs, but there have been others. It went from an air compression system to a bungee system, but it's still not good for your spine.
No.
You're not going to demonstrate?
We do that at lunchtime.
So what did you do in the circus?
I started as a clown, and then I had many positions over a 25-year career.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on in and have a seat.
Yeah. Oh wait.
Now, just as a warning, this is very loud. If you are sensitive to loud noises, you probably don't want to sit in the front row. Much like a player piano, this is how this originally was fed. And this is just a tiny little fanfare. So for a full song, the stack is about that high. It has now been computerized. So let me go back and make sure I don't blow this up. Hold on to your ears.
Интересно, что там behind the scene. Оу. Yeah.
If you heard that coming into your hometown, you'd either run for the hills or come take a peek at what the heck that was. This brings us to the conclusion of the tour. Do you have any questions about what you saw, what you wish you saw? Okay, so if you have a chance to go next door to the restoration building, there's a miniature circus in there, and it also gives you a glimpse into the kind of work that goes into the story in these battles. And the big top show starts at 11 o'clock. So have a great day here on Circus World. Thanks so much. All right.
How many wagons?
Over 250.
Here?
In this building, there's probably 80 to 90.
Okay.
How many went down to the Milwaukee circus?
Oh my gosh, so many. I don't.
Это было прекрасно.